product review slash how to use review for a senneker snare. This is a coyote style lights out snare. I've got this one from Damn Beaver Trapping Supplies. It's a Canadian company. As far as I know, they ship everywhere, but I'm going to try to keep it to a short video because I know a lot of people don't really have attention spans anymore, just like me. So you're probably wanting me to skip to the good part. So I ordered these and I wasn't actually familiar with common suspended snares or typical snares. I was more familiar with power snares. The suspended snare like this or a common snare isn't legal for Manitoba for trappers, with the exception of what we call a registered trap line. So for someone like me who just traps in the open area zones, I don't have the option of being able to use a common suspended snare. I'm limited only to power snares for those particular animals, coyotes or wolves. So you get the snare, and if you're like me, I got all excited. I headed out to use it, and I had no clue how exactly to put the snare together, as I wasn't familiar with common suspended snares or typical ram snare. So your best bet would be to get yourself anywhere from 4 to 6 feet, depending on what kind of area you're working in, extension cable or whatever you want to call it, tie cable. You'll take your snare like this. You can hoop it through. So what I like to do is I take the big part, my extension cable, I hoop my snare through there, and I close it like this. So now that's not going anywhere. Just make sure you don't leave your ram up there. So from there, you have the option of, you can wrap this around a tree, go through, and we'll just pretend this is your tree. So now you're anchored into something. Personally, I like to have 4 to 6 feet just to really let them get wrapped up and make it a fast, humane dispatch. So now that you've got your snare like this, you get 2 ways of going about it. You can set this first. You will need a setting tool. They also sell these on Damn Beaver Trapping Supplies. I don't think you can set this any other way. It's possible, but I haven't seen it, and to be honest, with the force of the spring, I don't recommend it because I've had a few of these go off on my finger and it doesn't feel too good. So basically, this is your spring. You'll compress it, and then you have your little locking tab right here. So now your spring is set. From there, you'll head back to the part that confused me initially when I got out in the field. I thought I was going to drop these off. And, you know, I had 2 dozen of them. I was going to pop up 2 dozen snares. They're a lot more cost effective than running a power snare. And these just became legal in Manitoba this year. So I got out there and I was scratching my head out in the bush and trying to watch YouTubes. And I wasn't able to find a YouTube video that actually showed the correct way to do it. It showed correct setups and that sort of things, but it didn't actually explain what I'm going to explain here. So you have your cam lock here, and you have a breakaway here. Now, I believe in Manitoba, this is a 260-pound breakaway. This particular snare wouldn't be suited for wolves. You'd want to step up to something a bit bigger. I think they're 660 breakaway pounds or something like that. It's basically just keeping the deer out of there. It should be able to snap off if you catch a deer or moose or something with a bit of force. So you'll take this and you'll pull this out. So this is your actual snare at this point. Again, this is the part that I was scratching my head about, and I felt dumb after because it was so straightforward, but this is your actual snare. So you'll want to keep this kind of free. Sometimes it wants to bind up and you'll have to kind of loosen up here. Now from there, you've kind of got the option. Your snare will hang however you want it to. You really, how you want it is, if you're going for coyotes, it just depends who you talk to. People are going to tell you different things. 6 to 8 inches a hole. You can kind of flex it and get it the way you want it. But this is your snare. So from there, you could attach a piece of either PVC tubing, when I can get into that on another video, but for this sake of this one, I'm just showing how to do the basic setups of the snare itself. So you're set up like this. You've either got trapper wire wrapped around here suspending it, or you've got a PVC pipe, or sorry, not PVC, poly tubing, just a small piece with your snare wire support hanging there. So it's not much different than a power snare, it's just your common suspended snare. But you'll want to have this area regardless angled up just to keep it from dropping in. So there's your basic snare. It drops in pretty quick. And now once the snare's locked in and it's got a good grip, once it runs out of line and it really starts to thrash or pull around and that kind of thing, that's when this comes in. So this itself is just giving it the final knock. It's going to put a lot more pinch on it than say a common suspended snare would. So you're going to have it thrashing around, and then there goes your spring. So if you see basically what it's doing, you have your snare's maxed out at that point. When it runs out of room, it just gives it that extra, it's almost like a miniature power snare. So I mean, again, I did get these from Dan Beaver Trapping Supplies. Its website, as far as I know, they ship anywhere. I can't speak for other countries because I live in Canada, so I'm not entirely sure, but that's how you go about using it. I hope the video is helpful. I'm going to try to start posting more videos. I know there's a lot of talk right now that they're demonetizing videos and that kind of thing, and that's not really a concern of mine because I'm not really making the videos for money. So that is your go-to. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be making more in the near future now that I got my fancy new camera happening. And take care.